Hey, what's going on, guys? Alex here with English Sports Center. Today we're going to talk to you guys about tog fishing, gear, lures, bait, rod, and reels. So let's get started here. First of all, we're going to start with some of the rigs. And obviously tog fishing, it's more of a bottom fishing with bait style of fishing there. Right here we have something that's a little bit newer to everybody tog fishing out there, and that's a tog jigs. For most guys fishing inshore or near shore wrecks where there's not a lot of current, they have kind of taken over the whole coast because you feel a lot more with them than using a typical rig. And you can also sometimes downsize your line and fish these a little bit deeper. They shoot down a little bit faster. You will find these here pretty much anywhere from small sizes like a ½ ounce all the way up to 6 ounces. Right here we just have a short option and ranges here. The cool thing with these is they have a stout hook, short shank, and that's where you put your bait on there. Also, there is times where if you're fishing pretty heavy cover and there is going to be a good amount of reef, whatever structure you're fishing on, you might want to use a bottom rig like this. And these we rigged in-house. These are our tog jigs, our rigs, and you put your sinker on the bottom here, and they have two hooks, two octopus hooks. And this rig is more for when you're using a full-size crab and you hook one to each side. And that utilizes, both of those hooks, so when they bite either or side or when they bite through the middle, you can hook them. If you've ever been tog fishing, those things are like sheep's head. They just bite pretty quick and they can take your bait just like that. All the rigs we're rigging here are using 60-pound monofilament, so they're going to be nice and strong and be abrasion resistant for when you're fishing those wrecks. Weight sizes and all that, obviously you can switch them depending on how deep you're fishing, anywhere from 3 ounces, 5, 8 ounces, depending on how deep you are. Let's move on to reels here, and we have a small offering here to kind of give you a narrow selection of what most guys use when they're fishing out there this time of the year in the near shore wrecks. Most guys will like to go with a conventional reel like this. This is the new Speedmaster size 8 2-speed, and the biggest reason for this is just to have a little bit more torque, more power. As you guys know, these fish live in wrecks and they want to go deep into them once you hook them, so you have to have that cranking power to pull them up. Braided line is the option for most guys to rig up with. Same thing here, we have a Saragossa 5000. I wouldn't say you need to go super big on the spinning reels. You could go to a 6,000 and be just fine. Most people will ask what's the better option to use, either a spinning or a conventional. It's more of a personal preference. Whenever we're using lighter jigs or rigs, I like to kind of stick with a spinning reel. You could even downsize to a compact 5000. When we go deep and I need cranking power, I'm using heavy sinkers plus bait. I like to go to the conventional because it is going to be a little bit lighter than the bigger spinning reels, and it's going to have a little bit more cranking power because of the bigger gear case. So this is the way to go here. When we're talking about line itself for these two, we're going to talk about using anywhere between 40, 50-pound line. If we're fishing a little bit shallower inshore, you can go down to 30. But I will say preferably about 40-pound line is the way to go since you are fishing structure. Now, rods that will pair up with some of these reels here, we have two options here, one for the conventional and one for the spinning, and they're the JLS rods here, the inshore series. All of these have gimbal butts, so they're going to stay nice and secure on the rod holder. A little bit longer butt section here, so you have a little bit of leverage when you're fighting those fish. You can tuck it in and be able to put a good amount of pressure. All of these are going to handle pretty much anywhere from like 2 to 6 ounces. You could go a little bit higher up too if you wanted to, since you're just dropping straight down. There's a lot of different brands we carry here, but you want to have a nice rod with a nice backbone area, since you're going to need that power, especially the butt section handle here, so you can tuck it in and put a little bit of pressure. And of course, you don't want to get something that's super heavy, since you're going to be holding it most of the time, and you want something with a nice sensitive blank, which once again JLS offers that. As we move on to bait here, obviously they feed on a lot of different things, but sand fleas, crabs, green crabs, and shrimp, depending on where you are going to be the ticket to get some of these Tautog to bite, especially if you're inshore in Ocean City. A lot of guys like to use the sand fleas and the shrimp and even peelers, and as you work your way out to the ocean, green crabs and white-legged crabs will be the crabs that most people provide for you when you go out on some of the head boats or charters. But either one of these you could use out there too when you go out deep. Of course, some people have their own preference. I will say sand fleas are kind of like the way to go when you're fishing around the shoreline in Ocean City, especially around the inlet and 50 bridge. Leader material, I will say when you're pairing up your leaders on there, you could use a 40 to 60 pound leader. Monofilament, I wouldn't waste fluorocarbon, things are just bottom fishing and you want it to be abrasion resistant. So monofilament is the way to go when you're making those leaders. Other than that, pretty much remember, carry a lot of extra sinkers, bring extra rigs, because you will be on some sticky bottom. And that's it for this video, guys, and we will see you guys in next week.